Good day, students. It's Mrs. Chaka again. We are still on Module 5, which is our meeting documentation. Okay, meeting documentations in the workplace. All right, we've covered in the previous video, we have covered what the meeting is. We've also covered the types of the meetings we have. We've covered the procedures of the meeting. In this video, I want us to specifically talk about the legal documents that is the most important in a meeting, which is your notice, your agenda, and your minutes. But I'm going to start first with a notice. I think it is important for us to start first with the notice. Why? Because it has two formats, which are not the same. We have a letterhead, we also have a memorandum. So you need to understand what is the difference between a letterhead and a memorandum. I've made some notes that are going to assist us in this regard. So here we go. Okay, what is going on now? Let's see, just be with me. Okay, here we go. Let me just expand this for us. All right, we've got it. Here we go, okay? Firstly, I said there's a difference between a letterhead and a memorandum. So I just want you to look at this. This is our letterhead. Just take a look at it. I'm going to explain it now. And then we will have our memorandum. Here it is. Okay, so first things first. Let us talk about the letterhead. Before you can start writing the notice, it is important for you to understand the definition of what a notice is. A notice is a notice of a meeting is sent out by the secretary to people who are eligible to attend. The purpose of the notice is to indicate the venue, the address, the day, the date, the time of the next meeting. All right, so it is important. All these have marks when you are given such information in an exam. You might be requested that you must write a notice either in a letterhead format or in a memorandum style. So it is important for you to understand the basics. Okay. We are going to start with the name of the company. It doesn't matter which format it is, but the name of the company shows us what company this one is. If it was McDonald's, then we would say McDonald's South Africa, and then the logo of McDonald's. But today, we're going to talk about Jen's Foods and the logo which follows. On the far right, you will have your address, which now tells us why we call it a letterhead, okay? Your address on the far right, and then on the left will be the telephone number, the fax, and the email. Now, here is a date. This date, you must write it in full. Most of the times when I am teaching this lesson or even giving an exercise on this lesson, students would make mistakes of writing the date like so. You would write the date 12 and then /4 and then /2020. Please try to write the date in full like I've shown you here, the 12th of May 2020. Which date is this exactly? It is not the date of the meeting. Remember that. It is not the date of the meeting, but rather the date at which you are indicating when did you write this notice, okay? This is the date that indicates when did you write this notice. So for instance, if today is the 12th, or if today is the 14th, then it means I am going to write the 14th of May which is the date I am typing out this notice. Please remember this. It is very, very important for you to note the difference. Okay, now we come to our salutations. If you can see, we have written dear colleagues. Why did we write dear colleagues instead of dear member? Because most of the times, if you are working with people that you know, or it is a manager who has signed this document, like so in the bottom, the manager will indicate by showing that he knows the people that he's working with. So you will say, dear colleagues. And then we'll have our subject heading, which is notice of the meeting. And the subject heading is always written in capital letters. Please remember this. The subject heading is always written in capital letters. Now, I did explain to you what a notice is and what the purpose of a notice is. All right, so remember, the purpose of the notice is to indicate the venue, the address, the day, the date, and the time. In this case, here is all the information that is necessary that tells us where the meeting is going to be held. Please take note that the meeting will be held in the boardroom. This is the venue. On Friday, this is the day, the 23rd of May 2020, which is the date, and then at 15:30, which is the time. What did we miss out? We missed out the address. Remember, this kind of a letterhead is signed by the manager who knows the colleagues that he works with. So colleagues will be clued up of where the boardroom is because it will be exactly where they are working. So here's the address that we're talking about. Okay? Please notify me by the 21st of May. So the meeting is going to take place on the 23rd of May. It is advisable that you remind people to notify you of anything that they want to add in the agenda, or notify you if they will make it to the meeting by the earliest date. So now we've got 3 dates here. We've got 3 dates. My students, we've got the 12th, with which the date you are writing this notice, and this date. Why is it the 12th? It is important for you to inform people on time about the notice and agenda of the meeting. It's very important that you give them time. So usually you will have given them 7 days prior the notice or the meeting, prior the meeting, okay? You will give the people that you're working with 7 days to prepare themselves, okay? So this is the 12th when we have a meeting on the 23rd. So you can see the difference here. It could be 7 days or 8 days difference just to prepare, to make people prepare themselves for the meeting, okay? Now, we also have this date here. This date is before the 23rd of the meeting, which the meeting will be taking place. This date is the date with which now your colleagues will be informing you of any matters they wish to add on the agenda. So this is how a letterhead looks like, my students. Please don't forget this. I made a video. I felt that it is important for me to do a video because sometimes just explaining things using text is not enough, okay? I made a video so that you understand. A letterhead will forever have a letter or an address, okay? It will also have your salutations. That's your letterhead. Okay, now let us look at the memoranda. Here's an example of a notice of management meeting on a memoranda. Remember, the name of the company should still be there. We should also retain the logo for the memoranda. Now, we must write in capital letters, memo. Why didn't we do this here on the letterhead? Because it is clear to us we have already understood, we understand how to write a letter, okay? So we didn't have to mention that it's a letterhead because of the address that we know. Everybody knows how to write a letter, okay? But here, we must indicate that it is a memo, all right? A memorandum. A memorandum does not have an address, but it has a date on the far right of the page. It has a date, which is now the 12th of May, the date with which I'm writing, or you are writing this notice, okay? And then underneath it, you'll have your telephone number. You can either write an extension like I did here, or you can use the 10 digits. It's not a problem at all. As long as you have indicated, this kind of information will be provided to you when you are writing exam. You'll be given all the information, and then you just have to use it wisely. On the left-hand side, you will have information that tells us that we are writing this memo to who. So we are writing the memo to management staff. And where does this memo come from? From the manager. Remember, he's the one who signs. So from the manager. If information is not written anywhere about the manager, or perhaps you are given instruction that you should be the one who's writing the notice and agenda, then that is where you will be writing your name here, okay? You'll be writing from the manager or from whoever, okay? Now the heading is also written in capital letters, very, very important. Notice of the management meeting. Here it is, notice of the management meeting, okay? This still remains the same. Notice, it is important to note that you need to inform people where the meeting is going to take place, what time is the meeting going to be, and the date and the day, okay? Please note that the meeting will be held in the boardroom on Friday, the 23rd, 2020 at 15 hours. Please notify me by the 21st. I've already explained these dates. I've explained these dates to you and how they work. Okay? Now, instead of saying yours faithfully, like I did here, because this is a formal document. With a formal document, you will close your letter by saying yours faithfully, okay? Not yours sincerely. Yours sincerely is somebody that you still know, but it's not formally or formal like yours faithfully, okay? Because now this is a formal document. Remember that yours faithfully, and then HG Mudang will be the signature here, and then the manager will also print out his initials and his surname, and also indicate which position they're in. This is now the letterhead. But look at the memorandum. The manager just says, thank you, and he initializes. He gives us initials. That's it. I hope you understand how a memorandum is written and why or how it is different from a letterhead. Okay, so this is the kind of a notice that you can use for any type of a meeting that we've discussed. Remember, we've discussed general meeting, and we have explained under general meeting what kind of meetings are those that are there. We've spoken about frequent meetings, annual meetings, and special meeting. So with the special meeting, we are not going to write it this way. I gave you an example, a beautiful example of a notice of a special meeting, okay? And notice of a special meeting will have what? It will still retain the name of the company, the logo. Since this is a letterhead, it will retain the address, and on your left-hand side, all the information that is needed, such as the telephone, the fax, and the email, and then the date with which the meeting is going to take place. Remember, a special meeting is a meeting that is happening quicker, much quicker, or sooner than expected. Why do we have a special meeting that happens sooner than expected? Anything can come up and you might not even have the time to wait for your monthly meeting or your weekly meeting. You know, you need to address issues as soon as possible. So the special meeting works, the notice of a special meeting works for events such as that, you know, unexpected events that are taking place in the workplace, unexpected events that are taking place in the workplace and that needs to be dealt with immediately. Okay, so since this is a letterhead, we will write, dear colleague, and on your subject heading, now it is important that you mention it is notice of a special meeting, just as you have written it here on top. Example of a notice of a special meeting, you must also indicate it on the subject heading, notice of a special meeting. Very important. A special meeting can happen. It doesn't happen all the times like the meetings that we've planned. This is an unplanned meeting. So it's important that you write it this way. You write your subject heading this way so that we know it is a special meeting. Most students, when they are given information and they have to write a notice of a special meeting, they forget to indicate here that it is a notice of a special meeting. Please don't do such a mistake. Make sure that you specify thoroughly that it is a notice of a special meeting. And all the information is still there, just as the letterhead that we've discussed before, or even the memoranda. You have to mention where the meeting is going to take place, which day, the date, and the time. So here it is. Please note that the special meeting, my students, I cannot emphasize this even more than I'm doing now. Please note that the special meeting, it is important for you to explain to people what kind of a meeting this one will be, okay? Please note that the special meeting will be held in the boardroom on Friday the 23rd, 2020 at 15 hours. Now, you must also indicate why this meeting has been called. You need to indicate why this meeting has been called. Remember, it is not a formal meeting or formalized meeting such as your weekly meeting that you will have every week, or your monthly meeting which you will have every month, or your quarterly meeting. This is completely different from the meetings that I've mentioned. This is one of a kind. So you must explain or tell why the meeting has been called. This meeting has been called to discuss the damage to the building caused by fire last night. So you see, this is an urgent matter that needs attention. So that is why a meeting is called as soon as possible. Let us go back to the dates. Remember when I spoke about your normal monthly meetings or weekly meetings or quarterly meetings, that you had to prepare people or you had to inform people in advance. Like you had to give them like 7 days to prepare before they can come to a meeting. In this case, only a day is given. Only a day is given because there is no time. This is a quickest meeting that you need to formulate in order to discuss and come up with solutions of this building that has been caused by fire. Okay? 22 May, 23 May will be our meeting. Yours faithfully, like I've explained, it is more formal. Mr. Mutaum's signature, initials, and the position that he's holding. I hope you understand all that I have taught you, my students. I hope it makes sense, you know, but I will try to explain it further. So this is just the notice. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you the notice and agenda, all right? This was just the notice for you to understand the different formats that we have. We have the letterhead, which must always have a letter, and then we have a memorandum, which you must state is a memo. Thank you.